This is Red, White, and Bluegrass.
On Wednesday, President Donald Trump was in our neck of the woods. The president spoke for just over an hour at a packaging facility in North Kentucky. While not an official campaign event on paper, it certainly took the feel of one, with a who's who of Kentucky GOP politics in the room. Above Trump, a banner read, "Lower prices, bigger paychecks." He touted the administration's economic policies, spurring business investment in the bluegrass by big names like Ford and Apple, and a lengthy, high-profile feud with Congressman Thomas Massie over their disagreements on spending and the Epstein files, as the president hammering hard to unseat the incumbent Republican.
Millions and millions of Kentucky families will have more money in their pockets thanks to what we did with respect to tax cuts. And I just described what every single Democrat in Congress voted against it. Every single one, not one voted for it. They want tax increases, along with just one Republican voted against. You know what the name is? He is the worst person. His name is, what the hell? How did he ever end up in Kentucky? His name is Thomas Massie.
Ed Gowron, the endorsed primary opponent, joined Trump on stage. Congressman Andy Barr, former Attorney General Daniel Cameron, and businessman Nate Morris all received a shout-out from the president, but not an official endorsement. Representative Roberts, this was your neck of the woods, so I imagine there was a lot of folks talking about this, and there may be still some lasting buzz from the excitement of the visit. What do you think the lasting impression is going to be with the community?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is President Trump demonstrated why what we do in Northern Kentucky works. We have CVG, the Cincinnati Airport, which is a hub for distribution across the entire country. You have Verse Logistics. You have so many incredible industries coming out of Northern Kentucky because we have a competitive environment that is enabling for people to get good jobs in order to afford to start and raise families. And that's one of the biggest impacts of it in terms of the official side of it, that our economy, people are still struggling, but that said, we are taking steps to ensure that the average American worker can thrive. And you want to see how to do it, look to Northern Kentucky, look to Boone County, look to the 66th House District where that happened.
Representative Camuel, I imagine there may be some different perspectives here. Do you think it's noteworthy at this point that Trump is endorsing in the House race, but may not be talking much about the Senate race that's going on the GOP side?
It's a good question, and I think that it was an interesting event. And I want to say on the positive, I would say that the area got a little bit of an economic boost because you had some busloads of people coming in to fill seats, and so that is a positive. But I think the president may have misinterpreted what's happening here in Kentucky because people are not seeing larger paychecks. We are still struggling for housing, for access to health care, and again, the lack of higher prices for food. And now we're also seeing really high prices at the gas pump. I actually think that the president came here as part of a distraction with the Epstein files. And I can honestly say I don't know a single person here in Kentucky, and I'm talking about both chambers. I don't think there's anybody in the General Assembly that does not support what Congressman Massie and the Democrats and other Republicans who have asked for the release of the Epstein files. We all want to protect children, and we want to stand with the victims, and nobody wants to see any type of abuse, assault, rape, anything like that happen to a child. And so I feel like that was a distraction. If we want to get to the heart of what Kentuckians need, we need better paying jobs, we need access to affordable housing, we need to see prices come down because of the tariffs. Everybody is struggling paycheck to paycheck. So, I'm happy for the area that they did get a little bit of an economic bump for the day, and that's what we want for our local economies. But all in all, I think this was just a stunt to try and distract.
Representative Roberts, how competitive do you see that House race in your district?
I don't see it as competitive as people think it is. I think when you look to particularly that part of the 4th District, the Venn diagram between support for President Trump and support for Congressman Massie in terms of Republican voters, it's virtually a circle. The people of Northern Kentucky, they know Congressman Massie. and they know President Trump, and generally speaking, they like them for both different reasons. With President Trump, you get decisive action, but with Congressman Massie, you get an intellect and the ability to actually read the bills and analyze what is this going to do to our national debt? What is this going to do to the value of the dollar? Is this going to ultimately cause prices to get higher as the dollar becomes worth less? And people tend to like both of them for different reasons, and I feel myself in the same position there where it's like two of my favorite people are fighting, and in that instance it's just, I believe one of the strengths of the Republican Party that I know is one that has an opening of disagreements where people can vote differently and have different takes on these policies. But that said, when it comes to those big issues of commitment to the Constitution, secure borders, a better economy, this is where we can all come together to get to work together, and that's what I want to see come out of this ultimately. So I don't think it's that competitive. I believe that we're going to see largely people support President Trump, people support Congressman Massie, and that's what I think the election is going to ultimately reflect.
Certainly a memorable, very long day for those that were in attendance, including myself.